So hello guys and good morning. I've been missing filming out and about, so I've decided to style this a little bit differently, but I hope you enjoy it anyway, because for some reason the sitting down videos that I've been doing haven't really been serving my soul recently. You may have noticed that I've kind of been seemingly low energy or unbothered about videos, which isn't the case. I just feel like I've been wanting to do something a little bit different with my videos, and doing the same thing in my house like over and over again just doesn't really cut the mustard for me. So I think I'm gonna try something new out and see if it works. Today I'm going to be chatting to you guys about how I made a shift from finding temporary happiness in always looking forward and what is to come, to finding happiness wherever I am in the present. Ever since I can remember, I've been looking for the next thing. My childhood was filled with love and freedom, where I danced in the rain and swam in the sea and was permanently in love with the world. So last year, when I decided to start doing inner child work, I asked myself, why did I find being a child so magical? And I feel really lucky that I got to have this experience and got to feel that way as a child, but I wanted to work out what also led me to losing that sense of freedom. And I think it was the emotional freedom that came with being a child that made it magical. Time feels longer because you have nothing else to do but be exactly where you are, and obviously for many reasons we drift away further and further from this inner freedom as we kind of gain responsibility, and we fall into patterns that don't end up serving our higher selves, and we fall into paths that we don't belong out of fear of change, pain, or ridicule. Somewhere along the way you lose that connection to your spirit. You're always looking for something else, which gets harder as realities seem to get harder. So we're always looking for more money, more clothing, more time, more coping mechanisms. And as we are taught that that is the only option in a lot of ways, and I understand that. Obviously financial stability provides us safety in our lives and the ability to give ourselves opportunities. So that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the time that you're bored of your 14th top that you've bought that's given you happiness for a few days, and once again you're left with yourself, which should be beautiful, but the neglect of our spirits leave us wanting more, permanently looking and never actually living. And for me, I just ended up coping for a while. So when I was 22, after years of this and many troubles, I started to experience a place in my head where I truly believed that I was trapped in my circumstances, in a life that was laid out for me, in which I had no say over, and I didn't even remember the last time that I had truly been happy, let alone know who I was. I was 8 months sober, free from alcohol, and 2 years into therapy, and in May last year, had a seemingly good job with money and doing everything right on paper, yet everything had never felt so wrong. So I decided to actually listen to what my soul was telling me for the first time in years, and I started to reflect and embark on this journey of who am I, firstly, and I thought maybe it had something to do with the way that I dressed or how others saw me, a constant kind of belief that who you are is through the eyes of others. But I managed to dig deeper than that and think about the moments in my life that I had truly been happy or free. Moments of pure happiness in my life have been me playing a game in my parents' living room at Christmas, or the days I take myself to the beach and drink a coffee and eat a sandwich while sat on the sand. I took inspiration from my own happiness, as well as going into learning again with a beginner's mind, forgetting what I thought I knew, and started learning from others of how I could find a path through this. Meditation soon brought me to a place where my heart started to open, and therefore the floodgates started to open too. I was faced with my pain that I had been ignoring, and at first it was awful, and I had to stop ignoring the trauma that I had done for years. Meditation was hard at the start, and I couldn't sit down for long, and it became obvious to me that I had a lot of inner work and healing to do, a lot of exploration of my shadow self, and also to look at the root of my emotions instead of the way that they projected themselves. As I started to peel back these layers and heal from them step by step, my soul lightened a lot. I learned how to heal and how to feel again. I started to connect to myself on a deeper level and express myself without fear of judgment or being discarded. I started to swim in the sea again, and it got easier to meditate, and I started to understand what presence was for the first time. To me, it's the art of being here, exactly where you are, trying to move slowly and embrace the moment and the sensations that they bring, which led me to look around for the first time since I was a child and just start to flow in loving awareness. I was very aware that I still had responsibility, unlike when I was a child, but being mindful about the present actually helped me become more organised and responsible for my actions and my life in the everyday. And time seemed to slow down a bit more, and I seemed to have more moments to focus on these things so I could keep up with these things, as well as make severances to any overwhelm that didn't serve a positive purpose in my life. For an example, I am very lucky to have a job that I am my own boss in. So how have I fallen into the belief that I have to overwork myself in order to get the results that I need? Instead, I took a step to the side and started to lift the emotional weights that were holding me down and cut down the work I couldn't handle. I changed my content so I had more emotional freedom within it and didn't feel like I was giving my whole self to the internet. Taking care of my soul and giving myself more time to actually live as well as work. So when I actually did start to look around me and feel more present and take in the moment, of course the adult worries came up. They would come up like, hey, do you have enough money for this coffee? Do I need to run over this regret again in my head, or have I given it enough space? And then I'd use what I'd learned in meditation to let it go. Nor does this mean I can ignore the injustices that happen in the everyday, as in fact they are harder to ignore, but instead started to take action and proceed with that love in my heart to win over the hatred that is passed on in the day. I sometimes use a slow brush away in my mind and use that method to let my thoughts pass on, and sometimes even a word that I keep in my mind to remember what I know and what I reflected on to put my thoughts at ease. Like a safe word in a sort of way. Then I came to an abundant space of beauty, which was almost overwhelming. Now it's easier, and these emotions come up all the time, but I know how to work through them as I practice and stop denying my reality. Instead, reflecting on it with loving awareness and allowing the pain in and allowing it to vibrate throughout my body and accepting it as an emotion, much like happiness or excitement. I keep the mantra, I am loving awareness, in my heart and my head, and I repeat it like a prayer whenever I can. Once you start healing and doing some inner work, you begin to have the courage to make changes you were once scared to do and accept what you cannot change and work towards a more beautiful life for yourself. Loving awareness isn't to be forced either. Just when you remember to look at the birds or to hear the water in the lake or look at the clouds and remember that you are here, all you have to do is let it in, and the more you practice, the more moments come up and the more spirit you live in. I no longer read on every bus journey. I sit or try to fill every space in between, and instead no longer treat it like a space in between. This doesn't mean you have to worry yourself about permanent loving awareness or trying to be lovingly aware, but instead just introducing it slowly and see where it takes you. There was a quote I once heard that said something along the lines of, when I go for a walk but don't get there in spirit, I don't know what I could have missed, which I remember on every walk that I go on and every time that I can, to pass through life in spirit, and when I can't remember this, to accept that it is a part of my journey to loving awareness.